What's that?
No, Bill ordered my
It's
camera.
a model
He did.
thing.
I don't have it yet.
Wow.
Or he said he ordered it. So I think he probably did.
Hi, girl.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Bill was in a lot of trouble.
If I get everybody's attention just for a minute.
No, I went longer.
All right, I'll do my best. Most people pray for a short speech from me, especially after the one I gave for Ryan a couple years ago. Yeah? All right. Anyway, we are gathered here to say goodbye to Patrick, who's off tomorrow to the Air Force. And first I asked him this morning, I said, do you mind if I give a quick little talk? And I thought he'd say no, you know, but to my surprise he said yes, so I scrambled to throw something together real quick. But you got to have a speech. It's now an Arnold tradition.
Yeah.
And you'll hopefully carry it on when you
Well,
have
it's nice.
kids.
We like this.
Thank you.
We do.
What I wanted to tell you quickly about Patrick was his life since the day he was born has been a series of surprises for me. And it started with the day he was born. And poor Ryan had a terrible, terrible case of chicken pox. And I don't know if any of you all heard this, but I never got to go to the hospital that day. Ryan and I stayed in a rental house. No. And that was the first surprise we started out with. That was the bad surprise. The rest of them have all been good. When I used to work in Las Vegas, I had a job where I used to fly to work every day. And what I would do is fly up Monday and come back Tuesday to town. And then fly up Thursday and come back Friday. Well, Wednesdays I stayed downtown at our house in Las Vegas. And Patrick may or not remember this, but he and I used to spend every Wednesday together. And one of the things we would do was go to this park and hang out there. And he would tell me all about his philosophy on life and stuff. And he was a very inquisitive kid. And he'd ask me about my job. He'd say, Dad, what do you really do in the Air Force? And I'd say, well, I can't tell you too much, but I would tell him how we used to fly to work in these little planes. And all the pilots knew that I didn't particularly like flying very much, so they would intentionally try to scare me. So we'd fly really close to these mountaintops that you cross over going into Las Vegas Valley. And sometimes they'd come so close that you could actually see like these mountain goats looking up at you, right? I'd be like cranking out the Hail Marys thinking we were going to die. Well, I told Patrick this, and he was about 4, and he's like, cool.
Uh-oh, I had it bad.
Yeah, he goes, when I'm growing up like you did, I'm going to join the Air Force. So I said, yeah, sure you will. And I always thought, I want something else for him. You know, I want him to have a regular job. We went a long time, you know, until he really surprised me again. But then the day he turned 16, he walked into the house and he said, I said, how was your day? And he goes, oh, good. By the way, I quit school. What? You got to be blanking me. You know? And I thought, oh, his life's over. He's going to be working on a garbage truck. You know, where English is a second language.
Or Harrison's.
Over, right? Or Harrison's, no. I'm kidding, Ryan. You have a great future, too. And to my surprise, particularly, he passed the GED a few months later, and then he enrolled in college. So here he was, a 16-year-old kid going to college.
Later, actually.
I stand corrected. And it went from what I thought was a devastating turn of events to a really good thing. And I was really proud of him at the time.
Where do we all?
And another great shock to me was I came home from work one day and I went in the mailbox, and among the usual bills and stuff, there was a thing from the Republican National Committee, a registration form. It was addressed to Patrick Arnold. And I said, this can't be right. This has to be some other Patrick Arnold. They said, nope, 262 Pleasant Street. I'm thinking, this is the kid that likes Marilyn Manson and, you know, I know, I'm just exaggerating, but anyway.
You didn't think he was a Republican?
I did not think he was a Republican, though I'd like that too. That was also a good surprise. And then one day, when he was not sure what he was going to do with his life and everything, and he asked me about this or that, I said, well, if you're sure you don't want to go to school, away to school or something, this was after he had 2 years as associates. I said, you know, something you could do is go in the Air Force. Never thinking for a million years he'd do it. And then one day, I was in Washington, and Paula called me. She said, guess who just came back from the recruiters? I said, I don't know, Ryan. He goes, no, Patrick. You got to be kidding me. But anyway, again, it was a pleasant surprise. I think it's the right time in his life for him to do something like this. When I went in, those many years ago, in 1980, a lot of people I knew said, you're crazy, you're making a mistake, You really don't want to do this with your life, but I've never regretted it. You know, I've regretted certain things about the lifestyle, all the moving we did and stuff, but and you too. But the Air Force itself, I've never looked back on. Of course, here I am, still associated with them all these many years later, and been happy with them. Anyway, Patrick, I'll shut up now by telling you though, I've never been prouder of you. I think you're doing the right thing. It's at a time when things like this in our country are controversial, and I think you're doing the right thing to help out when we need it. And best of luck down there, and I don't think you'll ever regret it.
Give him a hug. Hug.
Now you got to say a couple of words.
That's 2 good speeches in a row, Jeff.
Speech.
I can drive that now.
That was excellent.
Wow!
Well, you still got a speech for,
Yeah, you gotta wait
again
for
for Ryan
Colleen.
and for Colleen.
Yeah.
No!
Speak.
You don't have
You have
to
to
say
say
anything
something.
if you
Thank you
don't
for
want.
the party, everybody.
You're very welcome.
You're
We're
welcome.
very proud of you.
You got him. That's good enough.
That's
right.
Yay!
Cake! Cake!
It's not too much trouble, can we?
like,
I had like all like.
hey.
Gummy hot dogs.
Yeah.
Wow, it doesn't get any better than this, Ryan.
Okay, now open the card.
People that clean this place are gonna love you. Imagine the guy that comes to vacuum it. He'll go, ay caramba! That's nice, Ryan. No. Thanks, Ryan.
Happy Father's.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I know I'm going to bore everybody to death, but it's become kind of an Arnold tradition now
Oh
to
yeah!
say
Oh, yeah.
a few words. I'll make it short and sweet.
Oh, we love it.
Mark will take them.
As you know, of course, Ryan's leaving tomorrow morning. We thought so about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was more disappointed than anybody. But he's going to press on tomorrow. I'm going to take him down to the recruiters, and they drive him over to the airport. So that's it until we see him at Christmas time. Obviously, all of you know Ryan well. Most of you have known him his whole life since we came back from England the first time. I want to tell you a couple of very brief things about him, though, that you may or may not know. Like most fathers, I'm very proud of him. When he was born in England, and after he went through the usual ugly stage where they're kind of pink and ugly, once,
Never had another
he was never ugly. Once I got him out into the stroller, and I was walking around the Air Force base we lived on in England, all these people kept coming up to me, even the English people, and saying, "Oh my God, what a great-looking baby!" Right? And I got really obnoxious. I was so proud of him; it made Paula sick. And she was like, "Jeff, you gotta stop. You know, he's not the only baby around here." I said, "I know." I've been proud of him a lot of times in his life, though. The time he hit 3 home runs in a Little League game, I had to be restrained. I was like, "Oh, take that guy and put him in his car. He's obnoxious." You know, that was another time. This is another time in his life, and I'm very proud of him. You know, it's a difficult choice for somebody to make, and he agonized about it for a long time. Anyway, I'm proud of you for it.
Thank you.
Especially with what's going on in the world. And again, if you've known Ryan for very long, you know he's always been one of those adventurous kinds of kids.
Oh!
Ever since he was little. Ever since he was a little tyke, he was into everything.
From your sister here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Why do you have to say it?
They're out of here. Where's the bouncer?
He was always the kind of kid that was always, I can't tell you how many emergency room trips we made with this kid. You know, I mean, it's not uncommon with little kids. But Ryan, when we lived on Hanscom, they all knew him by his first name. You know, we'd call and say, "Dr. So-and-so, we're coming down with Ryan again." He'd go like, "All right, looking forward to seeing him again." I made a short list. The time he ate the poison berries off the tree, the time he was ice skating and got frostbite, the time he fell down the stairs backwards. We've had several bee sting trips, because Ryan, he's not allergic to them, but he gets all swollen up.
Forget about the poison ivy.
All the poison ivy. Yeah. You got that from
I'm
Castle
keeping it in
inside.
my
Drinking the whole
head
bottle of
forever.
liquid fluoride we had.
I had a Miracle Bro.
The Miracle Bro, yeah. And when we lived in Florida, there was this river near our house called the Alafia River, and Ryan was the first one to dive off the top of this
Can you
tree.
help her babies
And
then?
they had alligators in this river. And
Well,
we'd
if
say,
it's okay
are you
with
out of your mind,
her and
Ryan?
the
You're
Smiths.
crazy. He'd say, well, I can swim faster than you.
Okay.
Jesus God. So, Ed and I talked about Ryan not too long ago, and one of the things he and I agreed on about it was, if there was, put a cork in that kid. If there was ever a kid that could do well in something like the Marine Corps, it's Ryan. He's always, his whole life he's loved to be outside.
Can I take your picture?
No matter what. That's one of the things he liked about working up at Elcon the last couple of years was that he
What
could
I am.
be outside, working for Ed out there.
What I am.
Anyway, I don't want to drone on, make everybody sick. He's going to say a few words himself. I will say this. I see a lot of Marines in Washington, and a lot of the young kids and stuff, an awful lot of them, as you probably know, are from bad backgrounds. Well, not bad, poor backgrounds, disadvantaged homes, broken families and stuff. And anyway, I think that's one of the big advantages you'll have going in, is you have a big extended family here that really loves you and will be praying for you the whole time. Anyway, we're really proud of you and we love you a lot.
Thanks. I didn't really have a speech prepared, so this is kind of off the top of my head. So I'd just like to thank everybody for coming, appreciate it. And I love everybody, you're all great and stuff. So I just want to thank most of all Mom and Dad because, you know, growing up it was kind of hard, we had to move around a lot, so, you know, where is he? There he is. I don't know, we knew that you were... We knew you were doing it for us. It wasn't just to, you know, for your own career or anything like that. It was just to help the family out. And Mom, you were like the toughest lady I know because we moved a lot. And like, Pat left and I'm leaving, so now you got to deal with Colleen and the cats. And
Hey!
I want to thank my aunts and uncles, my uncles for
Incoming.
getting assaulted here. My uncles for being there, kind of in like, you know, other father figures in my life. That was definitely a positive influence. You know, Ed was always there giving me a job. After like the 5 or 6 times, I'd be like, well, I can get a different job, and I'd end up, you know, quitting or getting fired, and end up coming crawling back. But he would always take me back, so that's good. That's good. I appreciate that. And everyone's always been there for me all the time. Just everybody know I appreciate it, and that's it. Thank you. Who's next?
All right. I think Colleen's had a lot to say. I think we should get her up there.
From the sisterly viewpoint.
There goes the sound effects.
Yeah, wait for that.
I'll go get her. Don't worry, Ryan. I hope your feelings are hurt.
Don't worry.
I just it's a celebration.
Oh, these kids.